How are we all doing? Hope you're well. Thank you for waiting for us. We've got a nice mix today. Some in person, some over Zoom. So we're doing a hybrid. It's nice. Nice to have the people in the room today. It's Rehanne Skinner's press conference, preview Man City tomorrow, of course. There'll be two parts to the press conference today. Broadcast section followed by a written section, which will be embargoed until 10:30 tonight. So without further ado, if we can make a start with Kim in the room, if that's all right. Kim from Sky Sports, please.
Yeah, just going to start with any team news ahead of the game.
Yeah, we're in a position where we've picked up a few little minor injuries going into the game. Not something that's going to be putting players out for any extended periods of time, but the squad's a little bit modified following on from last weekend. But we are getting Chioma is back on the pitch this week, so that's positive. And Keris Harrop is close, so we're getting near with some, and we're just managing a few.
And new signings like Spence and James, how are they sort of settling into life at Spurs?
Yeah, they're really enjoying it. I mean, they're fantastic people who work really hard and have obviously had a lot of experience within the game. So they bring a lot of value in terms of their understanding, tactical side of things, and obviously their technical ability on the ball. That helps our midfield for sure. And I think naturally, you know, for Drew in particular, when you've been playing sort of a certain way for a period of time, that takes time to adjust in a new club setting, and I think that's just a challenge for any player when they come in, really. But obviously when you've been somewhere for a long time, it's just a little bit more of an adjustment. But I thought she was fantastic last weekend, and so things have evolved really positively for her, and also for Haz. You know, she's a good leader within the group as well, so I think that's definitely helped her influence within the team. Yeah, I think it's going to be a difficult game. It's, you know, they're an experienced team in terms of club structure. Obviously, they've got a lot of new, younger players, and so they'll probably be doing similar in terms of, you know, just bedding people in and things like that to what we are. So I think, you know, for everybody, the early part of the season, especially with the, you know, the international breaks that are quite sort of frequent, it just kind of disrupts a little bit of the flow that you're able to get. But ultimately, you know, I think it'll be a good test for us, and we're ready for the challenge, and we want to keep working hard and improving game on game ourselves this season.
And obviously the Euro is incredible for the country. Really, people are expecting, you know, massive amounts of increase in the crowds. You've obviously sold your season tickets. How pleased are you to have done that, and how important are the crowd going to be this season?
Yeah, it was fantastic, to be honest. Obviously, the jump as well from the number that we had last year to this year is significant. So I think that's been amazing for the fans to obviously get hold of those season tickets, and for us to make it a much more of an experience that we kind of were hoping for, really, which we've been able to do at Leyton Orient, who've been, you know, great in terms of supporting how we manage the stand and the fans coming in and all the rest of it. So I think, obviously, for us, when we played Liverpool first home game only last week, it seems weird because we're obviously into October, but yeah, I could hear the fans all the way through the game. The players could hear them, so that support was just absolutely invaluable to us. And I think if that's our first game, it's only going to get better the more that we play at home, and you know, really make it our own stadium as well.
Yeah, I was going to mention that obviously kind of bounced around from stadium to stadium. Now you've finally got a home. How nice is it to feel like you've got a stadium that kind of belongs to you in a way?
Well, I think it's a real football stadium as well. So when you walk in, you just feel different, and I think that makes a massive impact. That it's a football functional building, like everything is football within the building. So I think that definitely helps you to feel more sort of at home, I think, within your surroundings. And yeah, for us, it's, you know, the quality of the pitch is superb, and so I think that's obviously just helping us to keep growing and moving forward in the things that we wanted in place as a football club to be able to help the team to perform even more so moving forward.
And I hate to talk about your North London rivals, but Arsenal in the Champions League beat Lyon 5-1 yesterday. Chelsea beat Barcelona. Is this sort of
PSG, yeah.
Is this sort of kind of showing the turning in the tide, and the English game maybe becoming stronger than the European game? Obviously, Lyon won the Champions League last year, so.
Yeah, I just think all of it's related to the time, and every football team has their ups and downs, don't they, throughout the course of a season. And yeah, I thought Arsenal were very strong the other night. But I think ultimately we've just got to keep doing those types of results, and we've got to become more consistent with it in order to get a team from the UK that's in a position to win the Champions League. And I do think we're getting closer all the time, and that's really, really important to keep those clubs, on their toes as well. I think we've seen only last season the difference in some of the results last season was the other way, and so we obviously need to keep chipping away at that.
And just final one for me, Ashley Neville been on great form, nominated for the SFA Women's Player of the Year. You surprised that she's not played for England yet?
You know what? I think it's a question for Serena. Ultimately, we've got to understand what it is that fullbacks are. What she's looking for in fullbacks, and I think she's been outstanding for us in terms of everything I've asked her to do. I know exactly what she's going to give to us, whether she plays as a fullback or as a winger. I think she's been outstanding, and I think that's a real testament to the type of person and personality she is and what she brings to the team. And I think she's just continuing to go from strength to strength, to be honest, so she's improved dramatically, over the course of the last couple of seasons. And I think there's a lot of hard work and dedication gone in from her side to help her to achieve that. So I think if that's what you're looking for in an England player, someone who will wear the heart on the sleeve and give you absolutely everything and be consistent with that week in, week out, well, I think that's where you look, isn't it? Thanks. Yeah, I thought we were superb in the first half. In possession, I think we made it really, really difficult for Liverpool alongside our high press. I thought we got absolutely spot on and made it difficult for them to get out. So we were in a position where we were able to punish them. We had 10 shots in the first half, and so obviously you'd like to think that you'd put the game beyond them at that time, at half time. So all the players were very open about if it was them that had an opportunity to do that. They're sort of kicking themselves a little bit in those moments, but that'll come. We're creating very good quality chances, and we'll get there with that. So I'm not worried about that. I think in the second half, the thing that we were disappointed with was the last sort of 20 minutes, really, where we absorbed a lot of pressure, so showed that we can handle that and be resilient, which is important. But I think we probably could have took care of the ball better in those moments to manage the regains after, set plays. And we were giving too many away, to be honest, that could have helped us to sort of build back into the game and take control back again. So I think there's pros and cons to it. We've showed two sides to our game. That's important. We'll need to do both going into tomorrow's game. But we just want to be a bit more consistent over the 90, I'd say. Well, she's been training with the team for the period that she's been allowed to train, which has been a couple of months. So she's in a good place from a fitness perspective. But I think just for any player, it's the match sharpness. So we've played internal games, in international breaks and things like that. But the competitive element to it, the speed of that and decision making, things like that, you do need a little bit of time to kind of get back into that. So there's absolutely no pressure on Chi coming back into the squad. She's available tomorrow, which is great. And if we're in a position to get her on the pitch, we absolutely will. And we just want to build her back into a place where she gains confidence in her own ability, which, she's got bags of ability. It's just going to take a little bit of time for her to get back on track, really, which is totally normal. So, and we'll support her through that. Yeah, well, she's definitely capable of scoring goals, that's for sure. And there's a lot of players within the squad that are capable of scoring. We just need to make sure that we take those moments when they come. And regardless of how many you get, you just need to make sure you finish them when you get them. So it's not about creating high volume all the time. It's just about being a little bit more clinical when they arise. So that's just something that obviously we've got to keep working on. Thanks.
Thanks, George. We'll come to Zoom now. Can I start with Dan, please?
Hiya, good, thanks.
I know you mentioned about, squad numbers still being quite low, and, you look at the bench last week, I think you only had 5 players or something like that. Is there any benefit in kind of boosting the
I think it's really important whenever you're dealing with young players that you look at where they're at technically, tactically, psychologically, you know, the traditional sort of four-corner model really, you know, around those players to ensure that they're actually in a position to make that step and it doesn't end up being something that's detrimental, you know. So you've got to look at each one of them as an individual to see if they're ready to be able to do that. Obviously, we've got players that we're monitoring within the academy, and if the time was right, then they'd come into the team and they'd come with us. You know, we took Lenagon Williams away with us on tour to the US, and she worked really hard in that setting, but it's also a balance of not taking them out of a setting where they're getting minutes themselves as well, you know, so that's an important element to consider. But ultimately, you know, if the squad was very light and we had players that were ready, we would bring them up, and we've done that in the past. It's just about the right timing for everybody, really.
And Manchester City, it feels like everybody's got an opinion on Manchester City and how they start the season. Personally, I think maybe, you know, when the games have lost, they've had some real positives in there. But yeah, what's your opinion on them going into the weekend?
Well, I think they're always a side that you've got to be really, really mindful of, and they've got a lot of, like I say, they've had experiences, a lot of players within there that have had a lot of experience, and you know, ultimately, look, if you look at what happened last year, they didn't win a lot of games at the start, but then obviously did really well as the season went on. So I just think, you know, we can talk about lots of teams in lots of different ways and ups and downs and all the rest of it, but it's football, you know. Ultimately, they're going to be a test. They're going to make it difficult for us. We obviously are prepared, and we want to make sure that we make it as difficult for them as possible going into our home game in particular. And we just need to focus on doing our job, really, to be able to capitalise on anything that they're not quite right with. But, you know, they're an established team, and we've just got to make sure we're ready. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Can we come to Daniel next, please?
Hey, Rehanne. I'm just thinking, my only question is obviously Bunny Shaw, you know, for Man City, started really well. And, you know, she caused Chelsea quite a bit of havoc in match day 2 and netted 2 goals against Leicester City. I'm just wondering, with the physical presence she may pose your side, what is your plan to ensure that your side can cope with what she has to offer tomorrow?
Well, I think, you know, we're aware of it, but, you know, both of our centre-backs are physical in their nature as well, so they're capable of competing, and we've played against her before. So it's not really a surprise for, you know, what it is. The players have got experience in handling what she's about, and, you know, she is in good form, absolutely, and we need to be ready to deal with that. But I just think across the board, you know, it's just a really good awareness of where she is and what she's trying to do on the ball, and just making sure that we're in a position to minimise what she's capable of doing. And that's ultimately the goal, really.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Daniel. We'll move on to the written section now, please, and come to you, Sandra.